In basketball, a personal foul is a breach of the rules that concerns illegal personal contact with an opponent. It is the most common type of foul in basketball. A foul out occurs when a player exceeds his or her personal foul limit for a game and is disqualified from participation in the remainder of the game. Players routinely initiate illegal contact to purposely affect the play, hoping it is seen as too minor to be called a foul. The threshold is subjective and varies among officials and from game to game. Most contact fouls are not regarded as unsportsmanlike. However, a contact foul involving excessive or unjustified contact is classed as an unsportsmanlike foul, or in the NBA, flagrant foul. History. Basketball has always had the concept of fouls. In 1891, James Naismith's original 13 rules defined a foul as running with the ball, holding the ball with the arms or body, striking the ball with the fist, shouldering, holding, pushing, striking or tripping in any way of an opponent. Only the fourth definition remains. Running with the ball and striking it with the fist are now violations. Holding the ball with the arms or body is now rare but legal. Originally, on a player's second foul, the player would be removed without substitution until the next successful goal. Before long, free throws were introduced, originally worth 3 points each, then 1. Originally, any team member was allowed to shoot free throws. In 1924, the rules were changed so that the fouled player shot the free throws. The victim of a contact foul used to be given 3 attempts at a free throw, and retained possession of the basketball. Now, a player fouled in the act of shooting gets as many free throws as the point value of the shot he or she attempted. Principles: personal contact does not necessarily constitute a personal foul, unless it gives a player an advantage or puts the opponent at a disadvantage. Cylinder equals, in FIBA, the cylinder principle gives each player exclusive rights within an imaginary cylinder defined, in the front by the palms of the hands, when the arms are bent at the elbows so that the forearms and hands are raised, but no farther in front than the feet, in the rear by the buttocks, at the sides by the outside edge of the arms and legs. The cylinder extends from the floor to the ceiling, allowing the player to jump upward. A player can occupy any cylinder not already occupied by the opponent. No one else is allowed to step or reach into this cylinder. A player must not extend his limbs or bend his body in a way that is not normal. If there is a breach of this principle that places the opponent at a disadvantage, the official may penalize it. The NBA does not use the cylinder principle to judge contact. It only says that a player may not bend or reach in a position that is not normal. Elements of time and distance equals, the elements of time and distance concern the reaction time and distance of another person. They apply only to players without the ball, not to the ball carrier. For example, a player cannot suddenly step in front of a sprinting player, even without invading the cylinder. Another example is when a player sets a screen directly behind a player, the player would not physically be able to react to the screen in enough time to avoid it. Types of foul. Charging and blocking equals. When significant illegal contact between the ball carrier and a defender occurs, it usually means that either the defender committed a blocking foul, or, the ball carrier committed the offensive foul of charging. Deciding between the two is complex, partly subjective, and often controversial. Generally, the ball carrier committed a charge if all of the following are true: the defender was still, or moving sideways or backward but not forward, when contact occurred. The defender took a legal guarding position before the contact, that is, one with both feet on the floor. The defender was hit on the torso. In the NBA, in contact during a move to the basket, officials do not consider the position of the defender's feet, but decide whether the defensive player's torso was set in position before the offensive player began his upward motion. A charging foul is not called if the ball handler is within a 4-foot radius around the center of the basket. That is, if the ball carrier is under the basket, the defense cannot restrict his or her movement by drawing a charge. A related call is the player control foul. Strategy: apart from using hands in neutral space to shield or deflect a pass or a shot, the defender uses his or her body to impede the ball carrier's advance toward the basket. The defender's only absolute way to achieve this is to stand directly in the ball carrier's path and draw charge. Short of this, the defender's use of the body may make the ball carrier hesitate or change tactics. Both opponents are restrained by their desire not to commit a foul. It is not a foul to grab for the ball, or to touch a hand of the ball carrier that is on the ball, but the ball carrier, especially in the act of shooting, can easily cause greater contact, that is a blocking foul against the defender. Once contact is made, the defender may fall to the ground to exaggerate the force of the collision and induce a foul to be called. Overt deception is disparagingly called a flop, and is discouraged by the rules at every level of basketball. Screening. A screen is an attempt by an offensive player to stop a defender from guarding the ball carrier. For example, John Stockton and Karl Malone were well known for their pick-and-roll play. The ball carrier's teammate is the screener. He stands in the path of the defender as the ball carrier dribbles past the screener. This at least costs the defender time, and may induce a collision. Either leaves the ball carrier unguarded. However, if the screener moves towards the ball carrier when contact occurs, or does not respect the elements of time and distance, or initiates contact, he is charged with illegal screening or setting a moving pick. These are blocking fouls. Other fouls on the ball carrier. In the NBA, the ball carrier cannot attempt to dribble past a defender where there is not enough space, such as dribbling between a defender and either a boundary or another defensive player. If the ball carrier has space to put head and shoulders past the defender, then the defender is responsible. In FIBA, this rule is not codified, but contact caused by dribbler is still penalized. Fouls away from the ball. The rules are symmetrical for contact between offensive and defensive players not involving the ball carrier. Any player has the right to a position on the court legally acquired. A player acquiring a position that will impede an opponent must respect the elements of time and distance. That is, not take a position so close, or so quickly, that the opponent cannot avoid contact. This includes gradually slowing down after running with the opponent, and situations where the opponent is shielded from seeing the player's movement. Other personal fouls. Pushing, contact that displaces an opponent. Holding, contact that interferes with a player's freedom of movement. Illegal use of hands, extending the hands outside the cylinder and causing illegal contact. Hand checking, contact by the defense on a ball handler that impedes a player's speed, quickness, rhythm, and/or balance. Illegal use of elbow, moving one's elbow outside the cylinder to disadvantage an opponent. This mostly occurs during a post-up play situation, where either offense or defense attempt to gain a better position. Illegal use of legs, knees, on dunk, jumping up with one knee forward is to intentionally hit the defender. Non-foul. Referees who called every case of illegal player contact would dominate the game to the exclusion of the athletes, but reluctance to make calls would make the game excessively violent. The rules direct referees to seek a balance between these extremes, though they do not define it. When players are competing for a ball that goes out of bounds, and one player commits illegal but minor contact, referees often do not feel a foul is justified but resolve the situation by simply awarding possession of the ball to the other team. The reach-in foul is a misnomer. Reaching toward a player is not a foul, though physical contact may be a foul. Penalties. The official scorer records the foul in 2 counts of fouls on the scoresheet, as a player foul against the offending player during the game. A player who accumulates too many fouls will foul out. As a team foul against the offending player's team during the current quarter or half. A team that accumulates too many fouls in that period enters the penalty situation and puts the other team into the bonus. In college basketball, another, higher number of team fouls gives the other team a double bonus regarding the number of free throws. On a foul committed by the defense, if the team committing the foul is in the penalty situation or the fouled player was in the act of shooting, the fouled player is awarded free throws. Otherwise, and on offensive fouls, the fouled player's team is awarded possession of the ball to pass in bounds from the out-of-bounds point nearest to the foul. The shot clock is reset. In some rulebooks, such as that of FIBA, a technical foul is included in the count of player fouls. If the game goes to overtime, counts of player fouls are not reset, but each overtime period has its own count of team fouls. Strategy equals. Fans and commentators often call an infraction a good foul, such as when the foul is against a player who would otherwise have made a sure basket. By fouling the player and preventing an easy 2 points, the defender forces the offensive player to earn the 2 points from the free throw line. However, if the foul does not prevent the player from scoring, the basket is counted and the fouled player gets an additional free throw. After the fouled player shoots free throws, the team that was on defense is likely to gain possession of the ball. This is by award, if the final free throw was made. Even if it is missed, defensive players can occupy better positions at the side of the lane to get the rebound. Near the end of the game, a team that is losing may purposefully foul offensive players to stop the clock and regain possession of the ball, with the hope that the player will miss his free throws. Coaches study free throw percentages, so that the defense will foul a ball carrier who is poor at free throw shooting. The hacker-shark strategy was famously practiced against Shaquille O'Neal in view of his poor percentage. The defense is not free to foul its choice of the 5 offensive players, as a foul away from the ball results in free throws plus possession. Clear path fouls. In the NBA, it also results in free throws plus possession when the defense commits a foul and the ball carrier is in the front court with a clear path to the basket. Fouling out equals. A player who commits 5 personal fouls over the course of a 40-minute game, or 6 in a 48-minute game, fouls out and is disqualified for the remainder of the game. A player within 1 or 2 fouls of fouling out is in foul trouble. Players who foul out are not ejected and may remain in the bench area for the remainder of the game. Fouling out of a game is not a disciplinary action. In the NCAA and FIBA, if a team is reduced to 5 players by injury or ejection, and one of them commits a 6th foul or is ejected, play continues with that team reduced to 4 players. In the NBA and WNBA, no team can be reduced to 4 players, so such a player stays in the game. If another of the 5 players is ejected or injured, the last player to foul out rejoins the game. In these reinsertions, the team is assessed a technical foul. In addition, any additional foul the player commits draws another technical foul. This results in 1 or an extra free throw for the opponents, even if the player's foul would not normally result in free throws. This rule let Don Otton set the NBA record for personal fouls in a regular season game. He had 8 fouls while playing for the Tri-Cities Blackhawks against the Sheboygan Redskins on November 24, 1949. The rule was again invoked in a game between the Los Angeles Lakers and Cleveland Cavaliers on February 5, 2014. With the Lakers down to 5 players due to injuries, when Robert Saker fouled out, he remained in the game. References. External links: 2008 NCAA Men's and Women's Basketball Rules, International Basketball Federation. Official Basketball Rules 2004. NBA Rule No. 12, Fouls and Penalties.